The NFL fantasy football season is in full swing, and Week 11 brings significant shifts in player rankings. Let's dive into the risers and fallers to watch for your lineup. Quarterback risers. Brock Purdy continues to shine, with 4 straight top 8 finishes, and has a favorable matchup against Seattle. Jared Goff has an intense Week 11 setup against a Jaguars defense that has struggled against QBs, presenting a tremendous get-right opportunity. Justin Herbert has quietly posted 3 top 12 outings and is poised to thrive against a Bengals defense that ranks among the league's most generous to quarterbacks. Russell Wilson has shown solid performances in his new starting role and faces a Ravens defense that's been vulnerable since Week 5. Bo Nix also benefits from a favorable matchup, making him a QB1 option this week. Quarterback fallers. Jaden Daniels hasn't cracked the QB1 level in 6 consecutive games, and his Week 11 matchup against the Eagles isn't promising. Jordan Love's always on the QB1 radar, but he faces the Bears, who allow the fewest points to QBs this season. Sam Darnold's early season breakout has fizzled, with 4 straight games ranked QB 13 or lower. Running back risers. Kenneth Walker III has a promising matchup against the 49ers, who have allowed the 10th most points to RBs since Week 3. With at least 21 touches in 5 straight games, Kareem Hunt should feast against the Bills. Nick Chubb also looks primed for a big game against a Saints team that's given up the most fantasy points to RBs since Week 3. Audric Estime, while limited in touches, gets a favorable matchup against the Falcons, making him a solid flex option. Running back fallers. DeAndre Swift's production has fallen due to Chicago's offensive struggles, making him a low-ceiling RB2 this week. James Cook faces a nightmare matchup against Kansas City, who hasn't allowed more than 12.2 half PPR points to any back this year. In 5 games, Aaron Jones, who is dealing with a chest injury, hasn't broken into RB19 territory. Javonte Williams is near drop territory after his Week 10 struggles and limited touches. Wide receiver risers. George Pickens is thriving under Russell Wilson's new role, and he faces a Ravens defense allowing the most points to receivers. Deebo Samuel and Jalen Jennings look strong in a matchup against Seattle, with Deebo's track record imposing against the Seahawks. Calvin Ridley has emerged as a reliable target and draws a favorable matchup against a low-ranking Vikings defense against WRs. Jacoby Myers is now the WR1 in Vegas, consistently seeing 7+ targets per game. Wide receiver fallers. Devontae Adams' move to the Jets has lowered his production, with 3 out of 4 games ranking WR39 or worse. Jaden Reed's strong start has cooled significantly, with 5 straight games outside the top 18, and he faces a stingy Bears defense. CeeDee Lamb struggled without Dak Prescott, managing 21 yards on 10 targets, making him a risky WR3. Brian Thomas Jr. saw limited targets with backup QB Mac Jones, and if Jones starts again, his fantasy potential remains limited. Tight end risers. Mark Andrews is back to form with top 10 finishes in 4 of his last 5, including recent T3 and T2 finishes. TJ Hawkinson has become a consistent target leader for the Vikings, securing 9 targets in his previous game, positioning him as a T1 even against a tough Titans defense. Tight end fallers. Evan Ingram has fallen from the top 8, ranking T12 or worse in 4 straight games. The Lions' stingy defense against tight ends doesn't bode well for him in Week 11. These rankings will likely adjust as the week progresses, so revisit updated rankings on Sunday for your final lineup decisions. Whether finding hidden gems on the waiver wire or determining who's safe to drop, Week 11 is set to challenge fantasy managers with unique matchups and shifting player values.